In the homework for line graphs, I give you the number of streams in billions for the audio and video streams. In number 1, I asked you to create a line graph using Google Sheets for the audio and video streams in the year. So we're going to enter the values for this table exactly as they are into a Google Sheets. Highlight the entire table, and we'll insert a chart. And the default is a line chart. So notice down here it gives you the year on the axes. Depending on what I ask you in the question, you may need to change those to the year since 2014. And one of the things I want to point out here is notice that even though I entered the values backwards, so 2019, so the most recent years first, notice that it interprets it correctly in the graph. So it starts out lower. So in 2014, there were fewer streams, and it seems like throughout the years, each of the audio and visual streams increased. And you'll notice here that the points did not really show up. So if you go to customize the series, you can change the thickness of the line and the size of the points. So right now, point size, there are none. So if I do 7, I think that's pixels, then it'll show up. And you can make them larger, smaller. You could change the shape to little squares or whatever you want to change them to, triangles. Okay, that doesn't really matter. Okay, you can also add the data labels where it actually labeled the points on each one. So that might be helpful depending on what you want to display. And then remember, if you wanted to copy and paste the graph, you can by clicking on those 3 circles there. You can copy the chart. Now you can also, if your computer has a snipping tool, notice on mine, if I click the Windows icon and go to snipping tool, then I can actually highlight the graph and I could copy and paste it that way. So copy. And then I could paste it into a Word document if I chose to. Okay, so that would be the line chart. And then the rest of these are just asking some questions based off the data you're given. Okay, so you can look at the answers there and it should make sense. In 2014 and 19, so in the questions 2 and 3, you have to add the total together first. So that's where the 164.5 comes from, if you add them together. And then in number 4, it wants you to write a linear exponential model for each is appropriate. So write the equation, show your work. So if you showed a linear model for each of these, and again, looking at the chart, I would say a linear model is pretty good for each of them. Okay, they don't seem to have too much of a curve to them for exponential. Okay, so we find the slope, and then the starting value for each from the year 2014. Okay, and then if the trend continues, when would you expect 1 trillion streams for each type? So 1 trillion is 1,000 billion. So you're setting your equations equal to 1,000. So each of these happen to be linear equations, so they should be pretty easy to solve.